Hi, my name is David, and I would like to take some time today to introduce you to my work, UniNet, a mixed reality driving simulator. Starting off, let's take a look at the motivation behind this project. The entertainment industry strives to create a true sense of presence in virtual reality environments, and this provides several challenges for VR developers. How can a user feel immersed in the virtual world? Well, part of the answer to this question is in the use of virtual avatars. The most common forms are virtual hands, an entire virtual body with some sort of kinematic system, or sometimes even just a 3D model of the input controller. Their use, however, is not guaranteed to give the user a heightened sense of user presence. Using driving simulators as an example, the virtual avatar that you see is typically a virtual character whose hands turn the virtual steering wheel to match the input of the real steering wheel that you've got, or controller. Sometimes you don't even see this, and you'll see just a virtual wheel without any hands at all, and it matches your input. But this becomes an issue. For instance, a driver training simulator may depend on interaction with dashboard systems, and this is when VR becomes a less than ideal option. So UniNet, it removes the need for a virtual avatar by creating a mixed reality augmented virtuality experience, bringing the user into the virtual environment as their own avatar. It's created for driving simulators, but this technology can be applied to other types of simulators or even VR experiences. So the main contributions from this paper are as follows. Development of a mixed reality technology which uses stereo pass-through vision in virtual reality and the accompanying green screen chamber. Development of a driving simulator which is connected in real time to an industry standard traffic generator and has two-way communication, allowing for human interaction with the generated traffic. And finally, a user study designed to measure the effectiveness of our mixed reality technology by subjectively measuring user presence. So I'll use this section to give an overview of some types of driving simulators and provide a definition for mixed reality. Historically, simulators were designed for aircraft to train pilots. The simulators nowadays are used for more than just training and also more than aircraft. They're used for research in driver safety, VANETs, HCI, and they provide a safe alternative to most other things that typically require a car. They're also used for entertainment. So the hardware that makes UniNet is consisting of the Oculus CV1, which we found to be better than the HTC Vive for seated VR experiences. It uses infrared LEDs for outside and constellation tracking, and we could do a custom tracking solution if needed. It has a 110-degree field of view, and it supports up to 90 Hz refresh speeds. We also developed a mounting system for a stereo synchronized pair of cameras, which have a field of view of 90 degrees and a resolution of 720p. The onboard processor does the encoding and passes the image back to the computer, and a custom mount allows it to attach to the Oculus Rift CV1 as seen here. And then finally the green screen chamber, which is designed to surround the user. It rolls back and forth so that you can get in and out easily. It has even lighting for the green screen algorithm to work, which is achieved by using the curved wall and also a very diffuse fabric. And the driving simulator and the sensors for the Oculus are mounted in the center. And here is another graph showing some of the details. So UniNet was developed using Unity and SUMO. SUMO is a traffic generator which was used to handle the simulation of virtual cars. Unity was used for the input, rendering, and physics simulation we required. A two-way communication between both apps was established, allowing users to interact with virtual traffic in real time. Depending on how SUMO is configured, it results in natural feeling traffic when perceived by the user in the simulator. Using custom OpenStreetMaps and Mapbox integration, we're also able to generate neighborhoods and cities with real-world data. Land use maps from Mapbox and satellite imagery generate realistic-looking terrain, while OpenStreetMaps provides buildings footprints to be extruded, roads, paths, and railways. Also, SUMO has a direct integration with OpenStreetMap, which made the traffic simulation on these roads very straightforward. So on to the user study. We had 24 participants, and most participants had experience in VR. And 3 of our participants actually quit due to similar sickness. It is hypothesized in the paper that if a user is introduced to a virtual environment using our custom pass-through mixed reality experience, that they would feel a heightened sense of presence when compared to a pure virtual reality experience. We also tried to determine if presence could be measured quantitatively. The study consisted of 4 questionnaires. The general information questionnaire administered once at the beginning, the PANAS questionnaire, the NASA TLX questionnaire, and the Bob G. Whitmer presence questionnaire. Those 3 were administered after each trial, of which we had 4 trials and 4 different configurations. So we had 3 VR trials, the first one using our mixed reality solution. The second one in the top right there is the virtual reality with a virtual avatar. The bottom left is virtual reality without an avatar, and the bottom right is our triple monitor configuration. The trials consisted of varying routes. Each one took about 1 minute duration, and they all ended with a car crash event where the user was then asked to fill out the questionnaires. So going over some of the results from the presence questionnaire, the most significant results starting with the involvement factor. The involvement factor was calculated by summing the scores of 10 out of the 21 questions asked in the presence questionnaire. The original questionnaire by Bob G. Whitmer had 6 factors, but we cut this down to the most relevant 4 factors. The involvement factor should have a high score when the user has a high self-perceived sense of presence. So when comparing the involvement factor results between the mixed reality configuration and the triple monitor configuration, we see significant difference with users reporting a high sense of presence when seeing themselves in virtual reality. When comparing 2 similar configurations, such as the 2 baseline virtual reality configurations, there was less significant difference. The NASA TLX questionnaire, which is a multi-dimensional assessment tool for perceived workload, was used to compare the configurations as well. The total workload is divided into 6 subscales: mental demand, physical demand, temporal demand, performance, effort, and frustration. A lower score on each of these subscales represents a low perceived workload for a given task. A brief summary of our results showed that users felt they performed best in the mixed reality configuration. This score was taken from the raw performance subscale. Similarly, frustration was reported highest by most users when driving with the triple monitor configuration. The total perceived workload provided from the NASA TLX was not actually giving us any significant results, but as shown in the paper, measuring mental workload with the NASA TLX needs to examine each dimension rather than relying on the global score. An example with driving, we were able to extract results from the raw subscales. And finally, the PANAS questionnaire. It's used as a mood measure. It's administered at the start of our study and also after each of the trials. There are 10 questions for the positive and 10 questions for the negative affect score. We found no significant results for the negative affect score. The results we saw in general were not significant, but the recorded positive scores were overall slightly higher for the mixed reality configuration. So in conclusion, we'd like to try and run another study to see if presence could be measured quantitatively using UniNet. We'd also like to improve the hardware and see the impact of latency and different cameras. And also, maybe explore some applications with VANETs and motion feedback built into the simulator. Thank you very much.